Hey everyone, welcome back to our Python series, and today we're starting a new series within Python, the Backend series. So you can see I have a graphic on the screen up here. In this series, we're turning Python into a full backend engine. We're going to be building a server, creating APIs, connect to a database, add user login, and finally deploy it live to the web. And this is perfect for students, indie devs, or anyone curious just about how apps kind of really work behind the scenes with a backend. And don't worry, you don't need any backend experience, just basic Python skills and a curious brain. So let's talk about the tools that you'll be needing. You need to make sure that you have Python installed. You can download it from python.org. Visual Studio Code, which is going to be the IDE, that development environment that we are using. And we're going to also need Flask, and we're going to be installing this in just a second. I am running on a Mac. However, for Windows users, you can run everything in Command Prompt or PowerShell and not the Python REPL. And if you're using Visual Studio Code, make sure that you're using the correct Python environment. You can check this in the bottom left status bar. All right, I'm going to start off by creating a new file here, and we're going to select this to be a Python project, and I'm going to save this as app.py, and let's go ahead and save this in our Python folder. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, and you can either do this in your terminal. I like to use the VS terminal, and you can open it up by toggling the panel here in the top right, and we're going to do a quick pip, or if you're using Python 3 or on a Mac, pip3 install. And we're going to be installing Flask, F-L-A-S-K. Going to go ahead and hit return. It's going to be doing some thinking, going to be doing some installing. We can see that there is an upgrade available, but I think I'm okay with 24.3.1. Shouldn't make too big of a difference. But if you want to be on the most up-to-date version, totally up to you. Okay, now that Flask is installed globally, we can use this within our project. Just as a note, you can use a virtual environment for best practices, but for this series, we're going to be keeping it pretty simple. So we're going to start off by importing Flask. We're going to start off by saying from Flask, which is what we just installed, import, and capital F Flask, comma, JSONify. Next, we're going to establish an app, which is going to create our Flask web application. So we'll establish this by saying app equals capital F Flask. Then we're going to add brackets, and we're going to say underscore underscore name underscore underscore. So essentially, this tells Flask where to find your code and templates. We're then going to add the app symbol and put app, which is what we just created above, dot route. Then we can include the route for the home page. And in this case, I'm just going to wrap within brackets a slash. So this allows us to connect a URL path to a function. So let's go ahead and create this function. So in Python, we do so by adding def, then giving it a name, adding the parameters. In this case, we're going to be keeping it empty. We're not passing any information along. Then we're going to add our colon. This is where we're going to include what our function does. In this case, we're going to be returning. Let's do a message, and we're going to use our JSONify here. We're going to add a bracket, and then we're going to add our kind of squiggly bracket. When we're dealing with JSONs, we typically have parameters, and then we have what those parameters hold. So in this case, I might want to have a message. So we're going to kind of create the message, and then outside of the quotation marks, we're going to add a colon, and then we can include what that message actually is to the user. So we're essentially going to be able to return a JSON response with this. So let's say hello from our first Flask server. Right, so when we load this application, we should be returned with this message. Next, we're going to create an if statement, and we're going to do if double underscore name double underscore. We're going to use the double equal sign, which is looking for something that's an exact match. And then we're going to have this equal with quotations, double underscore main double underscore again. So essentially what this means is that we're only going to run the server if this file is executed directly. So not if it's imported elsewhere. Okay, let's go ahead and add our colon, and then we'll have our app.run, and then we're gonna have our debug, which is going to equal true. So this is gonna make it run with debug mode on. Essentially just auto reloads the server whenever we save. And it'll also watch for any file changes. Okay, so we have a couple options here. Let's go ahead and save our work. We can either use the run in the top right, or we can use our terminal or your command, and you can run this app with Python app.py. It's usually easiest for me to just run this on the terminal. So it's asking us if we want to be able to find devices on our local network because we are using Flask to access the web. Let's definitely do that. Okay, and we can see running on, and then we kind of have this HTTP URL, debugger is active, and we even have a pin. So what we'll need to do is we'll want to copy this address here. So I'm going to highlight it, Command C or Control C if you're on Windows. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new web browser here, and I'm going to paste this in the URL. And look at that, there's our message, hello from our first Flask server. So by using our browser here, we're able to access our Flask server and see our message. And in theory, we'd be able to use this for kind of like a JSON call and response. So this is your first backend endpoint. Now imagine building a mobile or web app that can request this data. Congratulations, you just turned Python into a real web server. As basic as it is right now, and again, we'll continue to build this out, Flask makes it really simple to return data, power apps, or build APIs that other apps can use. In our next video, we're going to be building a real API that returns different data depending on the route. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can also grab the full code from my GitHub and also all the steps along the way as we do release more videos. That link is in the description below. So dream big, code bigger, and we'll see you in the next one.